Adams, and on behalf of our Capstone class, I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening. Can you all hear me in the back? No? A little bit? Okay. As many of us know, New York City has in recent years embarked on a journey to become the 21st century's leading green metropolis by implementing Plan NYC and by establishing programs and incentives to attract clean tech entrepreneurs to the Big Apple. Our Capstone project this semester is very much in line with this ambition, as we have focused on a various number of public and private mechanisms for promoting clean tech entrepreneurships in urban areas, and specifically right here in New York City. The benefits of the clean tech industry are countless, some of which include the creation of new jobs, the stimulation of our economy at a new level, and the fostering of talent and education. Unfortunately, New York has not been successful in creating a clean tech cluster here, so our Capstone project is intended to help change this situation. In our class, we've developed 3 different proposals for the long-term planning and sustainability of NYC Acre. Now, before I get into the specifics regarding NYC Acre, I'd like to briefly define a few key terms that you'll hear throughout the following presentations. The first of which is clean technology, or clean tech, which has been defined by the New York City Investment Fund as those technologies and industries that produce goods and services which optimize the use of natural resources while reducing ecological impact and significantly adding economic value by lowering costs. And an example of this is the Modlet, which is an energy efficiency device developed by NYC Acre's graduate company, Think Eco. Another key term is incubator, which has been defined by David Hochman of the Business Incubator Association of New York State as structures that nurture the development of entrepreneurial companies, helping them survive and grow during their startup period when they are most vulnerable. And these programs provide their client companies with business support services and resources tailored to young firms. And an example of this is the Austin Tech Institute, which you'll hear about in the following presentations. And the last word is cluster, which has been defined by Michael Porter, who has written extensively on cluster theory as a geographically proximate group of companies and associated institutions in a particular field, linked by commonalities and complementarities. So in other words, it's a group of companies and organizations that are working in the same area of the economy that have similar needs, challenges, and goals. And an example of this is the financial services industry here in New York. And this image depicts some key elements of a successful cluster. However, to create a successful clean tech cluster here, we must first address the situation here in New York City and specifically highlight where clean tech sits within the city's deal volume of venture capital. New York City would seem to be well positioned within the technology sector due to the great number and diversity of industries here. However, as it is apparent from this pie chart, there is a relative lack of technological development as well as venture capital investment in the clean tech sector. And as Maria Gotch of the New York City Investment Fund succinctly put it, New York City buys green, but they don't make green. And this is where Acre really comes into play, as it has a great opportunity to begin connecting these industries in the growing commitment to clean technology. And I'm sure you're all wondering what Acre is. So Acre is the acronym for the New York City Accelerator for a Clean and Renewable Economy. As its name indicates, Acre helps startup companies in New York in these specific areas of clean technology and renewable energy, and it helps these companies by providing them with a co-working space, resources, networking opportunities, and potential investors. Acre was created through the New York University Polytechnic Institute in 2009, and some of the key partners are the New York City Economic Development Corporation, the New York City Investment Fund, as well as Columbia University and the Pratt Institute. It was seeded by a 4-year, $1.5 million grant from the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority in 2013. So given that it's running out in 2013, our Capstone was tasked with finding new funding opportunities. And in finding these new opportunities, we find that Acre is well-deserving and promising, as it has incubated 10 companies, 6 of which are currently in the program, 4 of which have already graduated. And in the past 3 years, Acre has created 100 full-time jobs and raised $10 million in external capital. Our Capstone project proposes next stage funding and opportunities from 3 different sources. The first of which is public funding sources from government agencies. The second is opportunities within educational facilities, specifically New York University. And the last is opportunities within the private and corporate sector, such as businesses and companies. So our presentation will start with the government group, followed by the university group, and finally concluded with the corporate group. And given this context that I've just laid out for you, we will now begin the 3 proposals, starting with the government group. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Garcia, and I'm going to be presenting the ACRE 2.0 plan formulated by the government group, which also consists of Sonu Adams, Jessica Garcia, and Selena Aparicio. And we are responsible for locating funding and support for ACRE from local, state, and federal agencies. So we have outlined a few organizations that we reached out to for more in-depth information about our project. We have a mix of case study clean tech incubators from different cities, local, state, and federal agencies, as well as a few ACRE portfolio companies. And these just all serve to give us a better understanding of how to make ACRE a more robust incubator. So now in thinking about creating a sustainability plan for ACRE, we came up with 4 key categories that will realistically ensure ACRE's existence in the long run. And these are the 4 key elements that the majority of our presentation will focus on. And before I begin speaking about the importance of policy, we would like to highlight some features that these case study incubators address, and we would like ACRE to draw upon. So the Austin Technology Incubator emphasizes the importance of a university connection, while the Massachusetts and the Los Angeles ones here are really good examples of how government aid can better direct an incubator's efforts to more productive projects once sustainable funding is taken care of. So as a university-affiliated incubator in the clean tech field, we would like ACRE to search for some of the same support that some of these incubators found in their own beginnings. So starting with the importance of policy now, we would like to highlight clean tech awareness in government and to acknowledge the value proposition of ACRE and clean tech at the local, state, and federal level. All of this to further prove how important it is to have supportive policies for successful clean tech development. So locally, Mayor Bloomberg is aware of the job creation and energy savings that all New Yorkers will benefit from. And as one of the most energy consuming cities, developing a clean economy will really provide a sustainable source of dependable energy for local residents, especially during those peak periods of demand. Now, on a state level, New York can increase its economic performance and lead the nation in innovation and technology, because as we all know, there's plenty of room for improvement. On a national and federal level, however, a secure energy future really rests with our nation's support of American entrepreneurs in the clean energy technology field. And it is essential and crucial for America to really lessen its dependence on foreign suppliers of energy. So essentially, clean tech and its advantages address all levels of political support. We have energy savings, job creation, sustainable energy production, economic growth, building a secure energy future. So, I mean, how ironic is it that it's as if nobody in political power seems to agree with me. It's as if I'm making a proposed statement to me right now, but I assure you we did not. So now to further emphasize the lack of political support in New York State and the need to address this deficit, we have a diagram of the Boston incubator ecosystem here, which really outlines the importance of policy and reinforces the idea that it really is at the root of a successful clean tech cluster development. In Boston's case, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center was created in 2008 when State Governor Deval Patrick signed the Massachusetts Green Jobs Act. And in 2009, he signed an act relative to clean energy, which transfers funds directly to this incubator from a systems benefit charge paid for by ratepayers of utilities in the state. So this successful clean tech incubator really takes advantage of the area's entrepreneurial spirit, clean tech companies, talent, and education from top-notch universities like MIT and Harvard. And so we see that Massachusetts' supportive clean energy policies are really helping them to build a relatively strong clean tech cluster with 4,909 firms employing over 64,000 clean energy workers. And so this ecosystem of give and take is really creating that visible economic growth and it really has no sign of slowing down. For example, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Industry Report this year announced that from July 2010 to July 2011, clean energy employment grew 6.7%, which is a lot faster than the 1% overall growth rate of all other industries in the Massachusetts Commonwealth. So the importance of policy is really evident, and as you can see from this diagram, once sustainable funding is taken care of, incubators can move on to more pressing issues like, I don't know, clean energy technology and their national implementation. But we don't mean to say that there is absolutely no government support out there. We've actually, moving on to our potential grants, found 4 forms of potential funding. SBC 4 is an initiative that is part of NYCERDA's operating plan for their technology and market development program. And their award for innovation/entrepreneurial capacity building is applicable to ACRE. The I6 Green Challenge is actually a federal grant by the U.S. Economic Development Administration, and it is for organizations that assist in the feasibility of technology, help build successful business plans, provide early stage capital, offer experienced mentoring, and facilitate the exchange of ideas between university innovators and industry. Thirdly, we have the Jobs and Innovation Accelerator Challenge here, which is really geared towards cluster development, as well as it's a really good fit for ACRE because it does require that tripartite partnership of a district organization, a university, and a city. And finally, we have the Energy Innovation Hubs here, which are funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, and they're actually geared towards cluster development in Philadelphia and New Jersey. But every spring they do offer an opportunity research fund that is applicable to ACRE and can mean up to about $200,000 of additional funding. So this is what ACRE 2.0 can expect if all of our grants come through and our recommendations are successful. We have also included a base case scenario because we wanted to be a little bit more conservative with the estimate of our awards. And we would like to highlight that actually the biggest award comes from the Jobs and Innovation Accelerator Challenge, so that's really important to keep that in mind. And we're really confident that ACRE can actually obtain all of this aid, but we would also like to keep in mind that during these difficult economic times, funding doesn't seem to be coming easily from anywhere. This is really our best case scenario graph, so it's important to be realistic and really remain aggressive when searching for financial solutions and support. And so with all this being said, we also think that it is important for ACRE to remain aggressive when searching for non-financial and strategic support as well. So we propose that ACRE reach out to local, state, and federal agencies in the energy field in order to just build a bigger community of influence around its own mission for clean tech development. So on a local level, we have DCAS up here, which is responsible for managing the energy accounts and efficiency initiatives for the city. And DEM is responsible for lowering the greenhouse gas emissions of New York City 30% by 2017. So partnering with these organizations will really give ACRE's goals the attention of a local base of power and knowledge here. And, for partnering with the mayor's office, our Los Angeles case study has really proven how important it is to have a local level of support. And the same thing can really be said for the governor's office, which has that state level of support that I outlined previously in the Boston Incubator ecosystem slide. On a federal level, the U.S. Department of Energy is concerned with all issues relating to energy, of course, and its Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy is very committed to elevating America's role in clean energy technology development. The last two here are just national organizations that offer networking as well as resources for clean tech companies. So we see these partnerships as really taking on various forms, from serving on ACRE's board to possibly just offering networking opportunities. And it is our intention by suggesting these that ACRE really make an effort to reach out to all of them, and even if only a couple of them respond, that will put ACRE that much closer to securing a really stable and influential foothold in the clean tech arena. And finally, we have our alternative recommendation, which is really a separate initiative that is a potential source of funding and an opportunity to spread clean tech awareness on an educational level. So the U.S. Department of Education has up to $3 million of funding through their Investing in Innovation Fund, and it is a fund for nonprofits that are affiliated with an educational facility. So we propose that ACRE take advantage of its partnership with NYU and create an educational program for public school children, as well as take advantage of the intellectual resources here and the potential NYU interns that would be happy to help with an initiative like this one. This is really a win-win opportunity. I feel like there's a potential source of funding here, as well as a chance to simultaneously educate our city's future citizens. Education is a powerful tool, and it can really introduce the concept of green technologies and their importance in the lives of these children. And I think that as environmental studies students, we can all personally attest to this truth. So in closing, we have a few key recommendations and conclusions. We really encourage ACRE to seek out its own independent assessment of the clean tech arena here in New York City and its own contributions to it, much in line with the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center and their report that I previously cited. We would also like ACRE to continue its partnership with NYU because it does fulfill a prerequisite for some of the grants that we found, and it really is crucial for obtaining funds from the U.S. Department of Education, like I described earlier. Furthermore, we would encourage ACRE to consider perhaps morphing into a proof of concept center in order to be applicable for more grants and to have a better position of winning the SBC4 initiative as well as the I6 Green Challenge. And finally, we really encourage them to also look for funding from the private sector and foundations as government money is dwindling and should not be depended on exclusively. Thank you very much for your time.
We will now take any questions you might have.
Really?
With the $3 million budget for innovation and education, that's $3 million per year for the entire country?
Yes.
Or is it $3 million for, let's say, 4 years?
No, it's $3 million per year for the entire country, but there's more than one applicant for the grant, so the award is divided, I think, between, I think it's 16?
16.
I think so, but I'm not completely sure, so you might, don't quote me on that.
No, just to see how much money that would entail, because if it's $3 million for the entire country, and there are multiple thousands.
Yes.
I guess that was my question. How competitive is this among the companies who apply?
Specifically for the Department of Education?
Yeah.
So there's 3 levels of it. ACRE would be applying for the one in the development area of the program. Of course, there's more money awarded to nonprofit organizations that have an already established program. But ACRE could, I think, receive up to $300,000 for that could be implemented for the developing of a program.
So they offer the startup
Yeah, for a startup.
funds for starting it up as well.
So partnerships are reciprocal. So what are the advantages for NYU for maintaining a partnership with ACRE?
So to take that one?
So we think, as you will see in the next presentation, the partnership with ACRE and NYU is mutually beneficial. ACRE has a lot to offer NYU, and we don't want to steal anybody's thunder.
Sorry.
We don't.
So, but you will see that in the next presentation.
Definitely be covered.
Yes.
So, in establishing ACRE as a proof of concept center, can you elaborate a little bit more on what that means and what that takes and how that fits with what ACRE is currently doing?
Of course.
Okay, well, a proof of concept center means just that you have to prove that your product works, and you have to prove that it works. And at ACRE, you don't need that concept. You don't need that concept.
So it eliminates a bit of risk for ACRE in incubating companies with an idea.
It's basically taking that step further. So ACRE currently doesn't have that prerequisite where you have to come in with like a fully developed modelet, for example, as of yet.
So, does that answer your question? Yeah. I don't know.
I think we should sit in the back.